Hello, coaches! Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better Spotlight. Today we're chatting with James Welsh, Director of the Florida Center for Instructional Technology. You might know FCIT from their work with the Technology Integration Matrix. Today's spotlight focuses on the 5 characteristics used in the Technology Integration Matrix to help empower teachers to reflect on their use of technology. These characteristics are great question prompts for coaches too. If you enjoyed this spotlight, catch the full episode wherever you get your podcasts to find out more about implementing the Technology Integration Matrix in your school setting. If you enjoy any part of this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more conversations like this, please subscribe to our channel and click the notifications bell to find out every time we release a new episode. Remember, you can also listen to the full Coach Better episode wherever you get your podcasts. We are passionate about the impact coaching can have on student learning, school culture, and teacher professional growth, and we want to help you coach better. We've got some great opportunities for more learning after today's conversation, so stick around all the way to the end. All right, welcome back to another episode of Coach Better. Today, Clint and I are here with James Welsh, professor at the University of Florida. And James, can you tell us a little bit about your professional background so we can get an idea of where you're from and what you're doing?
Sure. So I am a former classroom teacher. I taught elementary school, and I've been working with the Florida Center for Instructional Technology here at University of South Florida for a number of years. Prior to sort of coming on as full-time staff, and then the past 10 years or so I've been here full-time, and just became the director here at the center 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. I have always incorporated a lot of technology into my teaching and into the work that I do. The important thing to me has always been the connections that you can make with students and the activity, the learning activity that happens. But I've always been comfortable with technology and integrated technology a lot into all the different kinds of work and interests that I have. I worked at a TV station a very long time ago. It was a high school intern there, and then I worked at the TV station right after graduating from high school for a few years. So I have some background from then in digital video that has persisted throughout. So I've also done, a bit of digital video work throughout, based on that. There's sometimes a misconception that comes in talking about the matrix is that because, physically it resembles a rubric, people start to think of it as a rubric, and they think of it as, the left side being does not meet and the right side being exceeds.
Yep.
And so, it's like, how good am I doing? How high am I going on the matrix? And it's not that. And so they'll start misassociating, like, every good attribute of teaching, they'll start associating with transformation, and every lack of good attributes of teacher they start associating with entry. But that's not the case. Like, I mean, I've seen amazing lessons that are at the entry level on the technology integration matrix, and that's okay. They don't have to be, like you have. I really think it's really important to allow teachers to explore their own strengths and not give them, everyone must teach in exactly this way, and everyone must use the technology tools that are available in exactly this way. I think it's important to let teachers explore and develop. It's differentiated instruction, but from the other side.
Exactly.
Allowing them to differentiate the way they approach. And so I think in professional development, it's important. I think another aspect that that is important about the TIM, when you talk about, like, the characteristics, is the ways in which that, especially in a coaching context, the ways in which that can suggest other other ways to take advantage of the technology to move learning forward. So those characteristics, active, collaborative, constructive, authentic, goal-directed, there's nothing magical about the 5 of them. There are other characteristics that you could add into that mix. Those 5 are sort of common to several different frameworks, and there's a lot of research that backs up each of those. But they provide 5 different lenses for looking at technology integration. One of the things we've been looking at recently is that if you're left with, there's a study that was presented at SITE earlier this year that talked about they had new teachers describe their classroom use. And then they categorized it. The researchers categorized it based on the TIM, and they found entry and adoption. Sorry, they did find that, but the finding I'm interested in, they found that the active characteristic was most often described. And so that got us thinking about how that compares to the other characteristics in terms of its sort of salience. Active is the easiest to observe. It's kind of a default position. To what extent is this an active lesson is kind of the first question that you're going to ask. But the other characteristics prompt you to think about other uses of technology. So if you look and you say, like, well, okay, in what way is technology enabling goal-directedness within this lesson? So you think about how the students are setting goals, how they're monitoring progress toward goals, how they're reflecting on their learning progress. And asking those questions, you go like, well, okay, they're not, but they could be. There are things that I can do in this lesson easily with the technology they have available that's going to make it more goal-directed. And so that's a good outcome to say, and it's a good hook, I think, for a coach working with a teacher to say, like, okay, great lesson. Let's think about it in terms of, let's say, authentic, the authentic characteristic. So we're looking at in what ways are you using technology to help the students relate this work to their lives beyond the classroom, or to their community, or to their global community. And in a lot of cases, the answer is, well, we're not doing that, but we could. Like, there are easy ways that we can adapt this lesson so that we're making it more authentic. So, like, just pointing out the characteristics can be a productive area for coaches working with the matrix with teachers.
I think in that kind of natural evolution of curriculum, right? We say that we want our curriculum documents to be living, breathing documents, and not these static dead documents, just so that they can reside in a database so that we could run these, various maps. And I think having, whether it's your technology coaches or your curriculum coaches, or even your head of department, if that's part of their role, to speak with classroom teachers, or working even in a peer collective about this is what we're doing and what could be the next progression of this task or of this unit, and I think you're right in having, even just putting those lenses out there, those 5 different lenses about the environment, and thinking about what are those modifications that we could do from the beginning that actually is only going to add a little bit more input, but could potentially have so much more output from those students, right? Because they are taking control. We are getting them to reflect and to set their own goals, and to go back and determine, like, that goal-directedness environment that you're talking about, right? It's something that every teacher would say we want, right? We want our students to be lifelong learners who can control their blah, blah, like it's in every school mission statement. How are we actually doing that? How do we put that into practice? And those 5 steps along that sort of bottom row of the TIM is just a way of generating that conversation.
Yes.
Because sometimes, the old saying, you don't know what you don't know. Teachers don't really know, classroom teachers may not really know what to think about that idea. Even if they take it in a completely different direction, at least we've jump-started the conversation with them.
Yeah, right. And it's all about having really good conversations. I mean, really, the TIM is about grounding good conversations around technology integration. So, if it's, whether it's a principal having a conversation with a teacher, or two teachers just talking to each other about how they're using technology, or a coaching relationship or a mentoring relationship. If you're grounding that in the language of the TIM, you're talking about pedagogy. You're talking about higher order thinking. You're talking about all of these things that are associated with learning gains. And again, it's all, we really feel strongly like you want to empower professional teachers with the information. You don't want to, it's not, in an ideal sense, it's not used as a, are you complying?
Right.
But used to say, hey, let's have a conversation about how you're using technology in this lesson and what else you might do. But it always is grounded in the needs of the students and the demands of the curriculum that you're working with, not grounded first in, are you using enough technology?
Right.
Of course we want people using technology. There's so many reasons why it's important that we have really good technology integration in classrooms. But it all needs to proceed from those pedagogical concerns rather than from the technology side.
That wraps up today's episode of Coach Better Spotlight. If you want to catch the rest of the recording, find it wherever you get your podcasts under the name Coach Better. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our channel and catch us on social media at Eduro Learning, or follow the hashtag Coach Better. As promised, here is our exciting new professional learning opportunity that we're super pumped to be bringing straight to you. Time to talk is crucial for today's modern educator. We know that so many of you are juggling a lot because your students, your peers, and your stakeholders mean so much to you. We know that sometimes this means making it to a conference or a weekend workshop is not always your best option. And we know that even when you do make it to that conference, you may not have been able to dig as deeply into a topic as you wanted to. You might have been left with unfinished conversations. Your students, peers, and stakeholders deserve professional development that recognizes the challenges of a modern educator. Eduro gets it. We are responding to change in our professional world, and we build the professional development that we want to be part of personally. This year, Eduro wants to harvest your willingness to always learn more, your eagerness to do dialogue diligently. That's why this year we are proud to invite your voice to a brand new type of learning, Mastermind Ed. We know that groupthink is the enemy of creativity. That's why Mastermind Ed focuses on harnessing diversity of thought and context. We know that sometimes best practice is simply the result of not having new practice as part of the conversation. That's why Mastermind Ed focuses on making time for provocative perspectives. And we know that professional development that isn't tailored to you just shouldn't be called professional development. That's why Mastermind Ed prides itself on paving pathways with you. Who is Mastermind Ed for? If you have a role in school or education, this is for you. Whether the topic is brand new or you consider yourself an expert, Mastermind Ed will stretch your thinking and help you clarify key questions. By joining a Mastermind Ed, you'll bring back actionable ideas to your school, and you will have a network of educators to think with. So get ready for an online learning environment that values you, your time, and your school. Join us for Mastermind Ed, an opportunity that sparks, sustains, and supplements your inspiration. Early bird registration starts October 7th, 2019, and Mastermind Ed groups start January 13th, 2020. Find out more at edurolearning.com.